the main key factors which brought N.T. Ramarao into power, or the welfare schemes of N.T. Ramarao even today, which are very famous, are there are two key factors. That is, he brought the rise of rupees 2 per kg for the poor people who are literally who can't pay the rise amounts of the poor. And moving on to the liquor prohibition, he is the only leader who banned the liquor and prohibited it in the Andhra region. These two are the key factors or the main welfare schemes which are implemented by NTR. There are many other welfare schemes, but even today people remember his welfare schemes under this perspective of rice and liquor prohibition. In this way, the Andhra region lost the hold of the Congress and it went on into the clutches or in the hold of the new emerging party, that is TDP. So, in the regional parties we got in Andhra region a new party, that is TDP. What happened next? We'll discuss. Now, moving on to the most crucial issue which happened in the northeastern region, where initially it started with the dependency or the emergence of two language issues. Later it emerged into an international issue where the Indian army has to be deployed. What are the factors that led towards the incident to become such a serious issue? Let us see here now. In the Assam region, or the now presently known as Assam region, the famous two languages which were spoken are, the first one is the Assamese. Later, from the British's period of time onwards, many of the Bengali people have got migrated here. So, the other language what is the Bengali language. Now, after a certain period of time, like whenever there is any natural disaster or a natural calamity in the Bangladesh region, or in the West Bengal region, or in any other parts of the Bengal parts of East and West Bengal, the people used to get migrated towards the Assam region. And after they get migrated, it was to be a very suffocating time or a very disturbance for the local immigrants who settled there, or for the local people of Assam region. And later at the point of time, it went on to the peaks by late 1970s that the people of Assam and the speaking Assamese people, or the language spoken people by Assamese, were considered as outsiders, and Bengali people started to dominate the economic, political and the social life of the Assam people. What is the real fact that is count is that now the people of Assamese are considered as outsiders, but the actual outsiders are the Bengali people. But the Bengali people started to dominate the entire sphere, every walk of life of the Assamese. Now, in order to get rid of this one, and whenever there are any natural calamities, the Assamese provided the shelter for them. But today, the Bengali people started to dominate the entire every sphere of their life, and the people, especially the students, in 1970s, all Assam Students Union formed a union group and started to organize the rallies, strikes, agitations, and started to do the marches asking the central government or demanding the central government to take an action against the outsiders or the so-called Bengalis. Now, moving on to the ground reality here, what made the Assamese to feel that they are not in their own country? Because they started to be called as an internal colony in the sense a colony within a country, because the two major crops which are grown in the Assami land is, one is oil, the other one is tea. The oil refineries, oil spills, oil refinement, everything, the seeds, the plantation, everything was in Assam, but the purification of the oil, the refinement of the oil was done out of the state. The oil was carried out from our region to the other regions, especially to Kolkata region, because where the oil spins, oil refinements are established, which means the natural resources of Assam have been carried away to the other regions, and the tea estates were maintained mostly under the public control, but the Assamese were not provided jobs in that opportunities, and it is provided for the Bengali people. The priority was given for that. So, even the natural crops like oil and tea were taken away and exported to the other regions, where the people are to be having a larger share, but they are just reduced to be as an employees here. Only for a few people that employment is guaranteed here. In this kind of factors, the new concept has emerged in the Indian politics, that is the internal colony. So, Assam became an internal colony of the Bengali people. What happened next? What are the major features of the changes that were brought up? How did this issue turn into? It did turn into a violent situation or an inviolent situation. We shall discuss all these things now. Now, moving on to the seriousness of the issue here, we have to acknowledge that the issue which was only a conflict between the Assamese and the Bengalis now had to get the color of communalism. The communal color has been added for the Assam and the Bengalis domination or the internal policy or the outsiders and the local people issue. Now it became as a communal color of Hindu-Muslim agitation, because most of the outsiders who came from the Bengal region are settled Muslims of the Bangladesh region. And as we moved on here, the issue later turned on into an incident of anti-Bengali agitation. Later, because the most of the languages which are brought, or the dominant language which is dominating the local Assamese language, was the Bengali language. Now, in order to get the anti-Bengali feeling, later on it developed into a anti-non-Assamese movement. The Assamese are not supported, so they brought it to the anti-non-Assamese movement. Later on they brought the entire communal color, the outsider, the local issue. Later it emerged into anti-Bengali concept, then into anti-non-Assamese level. Now finally they came into an issue called anti-India government. So now they are asking that they will need a separate state or a separate community for them to entitle themselves into a separate region, not under the control of an Indian or under the control of a Bangla people. Now, during this period, the young and the dynamic leader who came to power at that moment of time, Indira Gandhi, was assassinated. Rajiv Gandhi took over the leadership of the Congress and the leadership of the nation. With the sympathy of Indira Gandhi's death, he got the majority of votes, and Rajiv Gandhi, with the agreement of All India Assam Students Union in 1984, tried to solve it, made a peace treaty with them, and conducted elections by breaking the present existing government. And then we got the AGP party into power, that is called Assam Gana Parishad. This Assam Gana Parishad emerged as a new political power in the region of Assam region. Now, is the issue solved now? What happened for it? To understand the concept very clearly, we have to understand the issue that in Assam region we have the many tribal people, because 90% of Assam is covered with the forest region supplied by the water of Brahmaputra rivers. Now, there are four major tribal communities, people like Bodos, Khasis, Mizos and the Karbis. These are the major tribal community people existing in the Assam region. At this point of time, either the issue was not completely solved, the Bengalis and as well as the Assamese, but they started to give special importance for the Assami people, and these community, tribal community people started to eliminate the other tribal community people, because they started to consider that if only we remain here, automatically the others could not remain here. So they started to kill the people of the tribal communities or force them to leave the regions. So these Bodos or the Khasis or the Mizos or the Karbis people started to move on by killing them, by making them to get afraid, by making them to get scared, to make the other tribal community people to move on or to leave the place and shift to the other regions. So in order to maintain the internal politics to be cool, or in order to reduce the tensions, the government took one more negative step, that is that if suppose Bodos are fighting with some of the tribal groups called X group, then automatically the Assam Gana Parishad government gave support for the Khasis or the Mizos or some other tribal community, was made active by the government itself by supplying arms and weapons for them in order to fight with them. So the tensions continued further and further. Finally, it was a region where it is an adjacent position where we have the China boundary there, where Indian land sharing boundary with China. We have an issue of Dalai Lama security point of view. Later, we had the region of Arunachal Pradesh region where Dalai Lama's shelter was being incepted, and we also have the Bhutan region, another nation, and then we have the Bangladesh issue. And we can't close the boundary of Bangladesh because of the difficult or the terrain conditions, because of the hilly slope regions where completely we can't block the boundaries. At that point of time, Bengalis used to come using that kind of boundaries which are open for them, or used to use the natural gaps which cannot be filled by the government. And this point of time, Indian government took it very seriously, because the agitation which was started between Assamese and Bengalis, which turned into local people and outsiders, which will rather turn into communal color of Hindus and Muslims, later it turned into anti-Bengali agitation, then into anti-non-Assamese agitation. Now further it is moving on into anti-India, and they are asking separate state for them. So it means that they need a separate country, and we in the key position of the adjacent, where we have three countries sharing boundaries here, and where are many internal issues to be solved. So the Indian army was deployed there and given the special status of powers finally to curb some of the powers of the people of Assam, to make sure and ensure that everybody lives peacefully. The army has walked in, marched in and brought a strong stable system here, and some of the free fundamental rights are being violated here, or special powers has been given to the army in the Assam region to maintain internal security here, because it is covering a region of Bhutan national security, India's national security with China, and also the Bangladesh issue. So the central government has walked in. Earlier it was a small insight of Bengali versus the Assamese. Later it turned into an international conflict, and where the tensions are always high. This was another major issue which was dealt by the democratic government of India in a successful manner. Even today the army in the Assam region has got some special privileges, not in the other regions, only in the northeastern region.